Have you recorded a video that's to be released once you die?
Well,
People around the world have been attempting to harm MrBeast in various alarming ways. From a billionaire stalker in Dubai, seeking him out to a severe car accident where his driver died on a highway. Here are 7 times MrBeast almost faced death. The first instance is one of the most chaotic experiences of his life. More than 2,000 people gathered outside his hotel, forcing him to hire extensive security and put the hotel on emergency lockdown just to safely leave the area. MrBeast admitted he was terrified. It all began when MrBeast was preparing for his Antarctica video.
We just landed in Antarctica and we're gonna survive the next 50 hours here. We're literally at the bottom of the globe at the coldest place on Earth.
Since direct flights from the US to Antarctica are impossible, he had to stay a few nights in a small town in Chile. Before even reaching his hotel room, a fan recognized him at the airport and asked for a photo. Being the kind and approachable person he is, MrBeast agreed. However, hours later, he deeply regretted this decision. The fan posted the picture on Instagram, and stalkers quickly discovered his hotel location.
and now there's like 200 people outside this hotel running up and down the hallways, like knocking on doors, trying to figure out which room's me and Carl.
Within hours, over 200 people had gathered outside, clamoring for MrBeast to come out. Some fans even managed to enter the hotel, knocking on doors in an attempt to find him. After security managed to remove them, they camped outside the hotel, making it impossible for anyone to enter or leave. The situation was so severe that MrBeast requested the hotel managers to activate emergency mode and ended up spending over $30,000 on additional security. Some fans camped outside for days, delaying his flight to Antarctica. This incident led MrBeast to decide never to take photos with fans while traveling again. The next incident was even more frightening. MrBeast narrowly escaped death by declining an invitation to join an expedition to the Titanic wreck in a submarine. Last year, a group of billionaires paid a significant amount of money to visit the Titanic in a small submarine. But tragically, the submarine sank, killing everyone on board. Few people know that MrBeast had been invited to join that trip. On June 25th, just days after the submarine disaster, MrBeast tweeted, "I was invited earlier this month to ride the Titanic submarine and I said no. Kind of scary that I could have been on it." This post, which has garnered over 100 million views, essentially implies that MrBeast might not be alive today if he had accepted an anonymous man's invitation. Personally, I doubt Jimmy would share the DMs of deceased individuals, but this screenshot is even more bizarre than it seems at first glance. The entire story is very dark, and it becomes even darker when some people suggest that MrBeast was lying and that the messages were fabricated. When asked why the messages appeared blue, MrBeast explained that one of his friends had sent him a screenshot of the invitation. However, people in the comments argued that if it was indeed his friend who invited MrBeast, this person would already be dead by now. The mystery deepens as theories and speculation abound. Some believe that the invitation could have been a sinister plot, while others think that the whole situation was a misunderstanding. The discussion in the comments section is intense, with various interpretations and opinions being shared. Share your thoughts in the comments, and consider that although Jimmy often takes risks for his content, declining this particular invitation essentially saved his life, assuming he isn't lying. Moving on to the third story, it is one of the most mysterious and chilling accounts involving MrBeast.
I got caught like halfway, and I was like, fuck, I'm fucked.
He was literally stalked in real life by a billionaire from Dubai. The story is more complicated and unsettling than it initially appears. It all started when MrBeast began noticing unusual activity around him. The billionaire, whose identity remains unknown, became obsessed with MrBeast's success and wanted to meet him in person. Despite MrBeast's efforts to maintain his privacy, the stalker managed to track his movements, showing up at various locations where MrBeast was filming or staying.
Somewhere in the Middle East, this guy hired a private investigator in North Carolina. I have no context to find.
The stalker's actions escalated to the point where MrBeast had to involve law enforcement and hire additional security to ensure his safety. This billionaire stalker went to great lengths, using his vast resources to get closer to MrBeast. The situation became so dire that MrBeast had to alter his routines and travel plans to avoid potential encounters. The entire ordeal was incredibly stressful and frightening for MrBeast and his team. When Jimmy's personal private investigator called with alarming news, he reported that a wealthy individual from the Middle East was trying to locate MrBeast. The investigator provided no details, only stating that the stalker would arrive in America the next day. Understandably, MrBeast was terrified. The following day, Jimmy doubled his security detail, instructing them to arm themselves and confront the stalker at his hotel.
My security went with the private investigator to meet him, and my security's just like, why the fuck are you here? Why are you trying to find Jimmy? And the guy's like, I just have video ideas I really want to give him. And my security's like, fuck you. Why are you actually here? He just kept saying it like 30 times in a row. He's just like, I just want to give him this sheet of ideas. And it was just a piece of paper with video.
Initially, no one believed the stalker posed a real threat, but MrBeast's security team decided to search his room, inspecting all his clothes and items. After finding nothing suspicious, Jimmy lied for security reasons, claiming he was out of town. The stalker eventually returned to Dubai without meeting MrBeast. We may never know if this was a genuine murder attempt or just a deranged fan. Being the most famous YouTuber on Earth means that threats increase dramatically, forcing Jimmy to stay home and rarely appear in public. Despite external threats, MrBeast sometimes becomes his own worst enemy. In 2018, he nearly killed himself while filming a video titled "Spending 24 Hours Straight Underwater," which almost became his last.
So we put a box underwater and we filled said box with air. And my goal is to sit inside said box, which is underwater, for 24 hours, aka spend 24 hours straight underwater.
The challenge went wrong from the start. Jimmy and his team set up an underwater base in a pond, but problems quickly arose. Equipment failures, the risk of hypothermia, and the physical strain of staying submerged took a toll.
I'm gonna spend 24 hours inside of this bucket, which means I've spent 24 hours underwater.
At one point, Jimmy experienced severe breathing difficulties due to equipment malfunction and had to be pulled out immediately to avoid drowning. This close call underscored the real dangers of creating extreme content. These experiences highlight the precarious balance MrBeast must maintain between entertaining his audience and ensuring his safety. External threats and the risks of daring stunts mean MrBeast and his team must always be vigilant. While his content brings joy to millions, it also exposes him to significant danger, underscoring the unique challenges faced by one of the world's most popular YouTubers.
Water was constantly moving. I was just getting really seasick under there. Just after a while, it just really got to me, and I just really couldn't take it anymore. I wanted to power through, but I just...
MrBeast and his friends constructed a plastic box on the roof and anchored it to the bottom of an outdoor pool so Jimmy could safely breathe inside without risking his life. Humans need oxygen to survive, so MrBeast set up a small tube to provide him with pure oxygen from outside throughout the entire challenge. Initially, the video started off normally, with Jimmy and Chris having fun, eating McDonald's underwater, and sharing jokes. However, things took a turn for the worse after 8 hours. Jimmy began experiencing severe headaches like never before, and after another 6 hours, on the 14th hour of the challenge, he had to prematurely end it to avoid potentially fatal consequences. His expression at the end of the challenge spoke volumes.
My leg is literally shaking. Stop shaking, you're annoying.
The reason behind this near-death experience for MrBeast turned out to be carbon dioxide, CO2. Since Jimmy was breathing inside the sealed box, the air became increasingly filled with CO2, which he was exhaling throughout the duration of the challenge. Initially, Jimmy thought he was simply feeling seasick, but he soon realized the gravity of the situation. Reflecting on the ordeal later, he admitted that he had nearly accidentally killed himself during the challenge. If he had stayed underwater for just a few more hours, it could have been his last. Jimmy acknowledges the need to prioritize safety in creating such risky videos. However, the next story may be the most astonishing of all. The person who nearly caused Jimmy's demise this time turned out to be one of his closest friends, Carl. Not only did Carl almost endanger MrBeast, but he also put the entire team at risk, including Chris Chandler and Nolan. This incident occurred during the filming of the most expensive fireworks display in MrBeast's video titled, "I Bought the World's Largest Firework."
This is the most expensive firework in the entire world, and it cost me over $160,000.
In a video costing $160,000, Jimmy almost lost his life. This video was obviously extremely dangerous. But in addition to Jimmy nearly dying, He was also nearly canceled after the video was published. According to Jimmy, the firework was so massive that it remains a record even 4 years after the video was published. Carl, one of Jimmy's friends, wanted to put his head inside one of the giant fireworks, but an instructor stopped him just in time. Carl argued that the firework was not active, but any pull on the rope would have triggered an immediate detonation. Given its size, the explosion would have been catastrophic. After the video was released, it almost got banned by YouTube for dangerous actions. Some MrBeast fans criticized Jimmy for undertaking such risky challenges, fearing that fans might attempt similar stunts and harm themselves. But that wasn't all. Here's the story of Jimmy's most perilous challenge yet, one that almost cost him his life in 2022. MrBeast undertook his toughest challenge to date. I didn't eat food for 30 days.
I am not eating any food for the next 30 days.
Wait, won't you be hungry?
This is what I currently look like, and I weigh 220 pounds.
Fasting for 30 days straight is extreme, especially for someone like MrBeast, who has battled Crohn's disease since he was 15. This debilitating condition affects the stomach and has forced Jimmy to adhere to a strict diet for years. Despite his ongoing struggle with Crohn's, Jimmy embarked on this grueling challenge, appearing increasingly haggard and frail throughout the video.
Hormone levels came back and it shows you are doing good with your fast. So.
I believe you. I saw you sleep 8 times today.
By day 14, doctors warned him of potential health risks, advising him to stop. On day 15, he ended the fast by eating a burger prepared by Gordon Ramsay.
These are so special.
Holy crap.
A beautiful
Oh my gosh.
breakfast sandwich.
I
Young
hate
man,
this.
come in.
You're breaking the fast? I'm gonna break the fast.
It's supposed to be sloppy, rich, delicious.
I love it.
Jimmy has openly discussed his battle with Crohn's disease, highlighting the challenges it poses to his health and daily life. Medical sources indicate that people with Crohn's disease typically have a shorter lifespan, making the fasting challenge especially risky for Jimmy. However, the most life-altering experience occurred while Jimmy was being driven home. His driver suffered a serious cardiac episode, causing his heart to stop momentarily while the vehicle was still in motion on the highway. Jimmy had to take control of the vehicle, pressing on the pedal and grabbing the steering wheel to navigate safely off the highway.
I'm like looking at the road, and I turn and look to my left, and his head's just bobbling, and he's just like,
Wait, is he driving?
yeah, down the highway, and he's just,
This harrowing experience was one of the closest calls Jimmy has ever faced and continues to profoundly impact his life. These incidents underscore the inherent dangers and sacrifices involved in creating extreme content for MrBeast's YouTube channel. While his videos entertain millions, they also highlight the real risks and challenges he faces personally and professionally.